Hey, I'm Dennis Lewis from ratio.dev, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to implement CSV importing into your Bubble application using an awesome tool called Impler. And one of the key things is that a lot of times you want to allow your users to be able to upload data from their computers into your Bubble application. And you can't do that with just the native Bubble import from the inside the builder in the backend. So how do we facilitate this functionality for your end users? And the way we do that is using this tool called Impler. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through an overview of what Impler is, how it works. I'm going to show you how to set up your database to get this all ready to go. I'm going to walk you through the setup of Impler and the setup in Bubble. And I'm also going to show you how to set up your Bubble workflows to make all of this work seamlessly and get the information from your user into your working Bubble database. Then we're going to wrap it up, call it a day. So let's jump in and get started. Here we are in Impler's website. You can see build powerful CSV and Excel import experience in 10 minutes. You can see here that the pricing, you get 5,000 rows processed for free every month on the free plan. And then if you want more, you can go to $35 a month and you can do up to 500,000 rows per month. So this is a reasonably priced tool. It's not going to bankrupt you. And it does provide a really good solution for what you need to do. The cool thing is it's going to do all of the UI UX of helping them upload the file, of mapping the fields, of validating the data. All of that you don't have to build, but it will save you a lot of time. And it integrates directly back into Bubble via the data API from Bubble. So with that in mind, I'm going to walk you through all of the steps on what we have to do. So let's start off in the Bubble Builder. So here we are, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your plugins and you're going to install a plugin that is called CSV Excel Import Plugin Impler. So you just search for Impler, you find it, and you install it. That's a one-step deal, no big deal there. The next thing we need to do is we need to create an API key so that Impler will be able to communicate with our Bubble application. Then you're going to go to the Settings tab, go to API, make sure that you have enabled the Data API, click here, and then scroll down and just create a new token, a new API token, generate new API token, give it a name, Impler, whatever you want, and copy this because you're going to need it in a little bit. It's the key that you're going to need. The next step that we're going to do is go into your database and you're going to create a new target data file, okay? So we're not going to import the data directly into your Bubble tables as they are now. It's a little risky and you don't want to expose those tables through the API. And you also want enough validation in between to make sure that the data that ends up in your Bubble application is clean, it's connected, it's well formatted, all of that. So you're going to create a new data target file data type, and you're going to put in all of the fields that you want your user to be able to upload into Bubble. It could be 3 or it could be 300, doesn't matter. You just create all the fields. I recommend that you keep them as simple as possible. So text fields and numbers, mostly that's what you're going to need. You can use dates. They get a little tricky sometimes. And then if you need to map to option sets or to external tables, what you'll do is you'll create two fields. You'll create the one field that will just be a text field where they will pass in the, let's say it's a status field. And you have pending, approved, live, and archived. You have one field where the user will just upload that text term. And then you can create another field, which can be status OS, that uses the option set because it's not going to automatically map into your Bubble option sets. The same goes with external tables. So you're going to want to create another field in your table for the external relationships that you want to be able to map out. Then the last thing you're going to need to do is you need to go in and create one dummy row in this new data table that we've created in Bubble. And you need to put placeholder data in all of the fields that your user may need to upload into Bubble. Okay, so the option sets and all that, you don't have to put in anything in there, but all of the fields that you want to be able to upload into Bubble, you need to put in that one row some dummy information that obviously, if it's text, it needs to be text. If it's a number, it needs to be number, but just put that in there. And then go back to your settings tab and just make sure that new data table that you created, which I've called import users, is exposed in the public API of your application. Otherwise, Impler won't be able to see it. Once we've done that, we're ready to go into Impler. So remember, you've copied your API key, and now we're going to go into the Impler imports, and you're going to just create a new import. I've already done that, but I'm just going to open up one that's already done. You're going to go straight into the destination tab here. Here, you're going to put in the ID of your Bubble app. So you're going to go to Bubble.io, you're going to click that on, and you're going to put your Bubble app's ID in here. You're going to choose if you're using development or live. Here's where you're going to paste in your API key, and you're going to put the name of the Bubble table that it needs to be importing into. Here we are, import users, and you're going to click the button map columns. When you do that, it's going to read all that dummy information from that one row we put into the table, and it's going to create what is called a schema. And that schema is a list of all the fields that you're going to be able to upload through the tool and their types. So you'll want to go through here and just make sure there's no mistakes here. You can see here I've made this email field an actual, I've clicked on here to edit it, and I've made it of type email. That means that Impler will validate that and make sure that nobody uploads anything into that field that isn't a valid email. So that'll save us some headaches down the road as well. So you just go through here, make sure that you have all of your fields and that they're all the right types. And then what you're going to want to do is come back to destination, and you're going to do test and save. That's just going to make one upload quick to your database just to make sure that all the connectivity is set up right. You can go into Bubble and you'll see that it has added in a new row. And finally, you're going to go to this integrate button and click here and go to the add import button. And you're going to see here 3 fields: project ID, template ID, and access token. Just copy these 3 fields down copy paste them into a notepad or wherever so that you can get back to them, because we're going to need them in the next step. And with that, we have Impler all set up. So the next thing we want to do is actually import data into our target file. And to do that, I'm going to go back to the builder, and I'm going to show you here in my design of this admin page that I'm working with on this sample app. I have a button called Import Users. And if I click it and go to Edit the Workflow, you will see that what it does is it calls this action from the Impler plugin called Open Widget. Here, I'm going to paste in my project ID, my template ID, and the access token so that I can trigger this off and Impler will know which import I'm going to be using. I can set the primary color of the widget so that it fits in with my UI UX. Here, I'm going to pass it the unique ID of the current user so that all of these rows are associated with the user that's actually doing the upload. If you have more than one import button on the same page, you can give them numbers so that you can keep them separate. And when you have that done, then you can just click on this button in your app, and it's going to open up this nifty widget automatically. This will pop up where the user can choose the file off of their computer. It will upload it in, and then it will guide them through this brief wizard so that it can identify the headers of the CSV file, so it knows which fields are which. It will map the columns. Impler's pretty good at map most of them by itself, but if it can't figure out which ones, it'll just have a list of dropdowns, and user can choose which fields need to go to. Parent email goes to parent email, that kind of thing. Then they review the data, and it will validate all of the rows that they're going to be uploading. It'll show them any of them that have errors. They can go in and fix those errors on the fly right there in the widget. They don't have to go back and change the CSV file. And once that's done, they can click complete, and it will automatically upload all of this CSV file into your Bubble application, into your target table that we've created. And all those rows will show up there. It doesn't matter. I think the limit's 5,000. But it does them in blocks of 500, and it works in the background so it won't slow down your user interface or anything like that. But we're not quite finished there. Now we have the raw data in our bubble application in our target file. But we need to go back into the builder now, and let's look at some backend workflows that I have created for this process so that I can show you how we are going to clean up the data and make sure it's all set up correctly before we process it into our bubble application. I've created backend workflow actions here. Each one operates on one row of that target file. And then you can just schedule to run this on the whole list and process them one after the other. So the first one I've got here is I'm going to fix all of my option set data. So here I'm just going to go to that row, and if I have an option set called ethnicity, then I have another field called ethnicity OS, and I'm just going to filter the option set and match it up by that text string that they've passed through, find the first one, and I set the option set that way. Go through each of these. I can do all of my yes, no fields. I can do all of my option set fields and get them all cleaned up so that all of that process is done. And the second process I have does something similar, but it sets up my external relations. So here I have a field called program table because I've uploaded a field called program, which is the text of the name of the program. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my programs table. I'm going to do a search. I'm going to make sure that text they passed coincides with finds the first one that coincides in my application, and it sets that one. And I do that for all of the external connections. I'm also doing here a location. So you can take a street address in a city in a country and put it together and map it to a geo field as well. That works well. And once I've run these two workflows on all of the fields that I've uploaded, then I can run this last workflow for each row where I actually process that data and push it into the right places in my bubble application. In this case, I'm creating a user account. I'm assigning them a temporary password. I'm sending them an email. I am doing some other changes in some other tables. And at the end, I mark that row as processed, and I record the date time of when I processed that row so that I know that I won't be repeating that import for that row ever again. And with this full 8-step process, you should have a clear vision now of how to allow your users to upload CSV files into your bubble application, how to have Impler do the first validation, then you set up the business logic to make sure that all of your data is mapped correctly. You import it into your application, and you're ready to go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below or reach out to us at ratio.dev. Hope to see you on my next video. Thanks.